them to get out and vote. Because that's the only way we're going to see the right changes in Prince George's County and state of Maryland. Okay? Voice has to be heard. All right. Let's have our treasurer's report. Ms. Miranda Jackson.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
South County Democratic Club, Clinton, Maryland, the treasurer's report. We didn't meet in January, so our opening balance as of 12/1/2015 was $811.72. We had one new member, so we had a deposit of $10. And our closing balance as of 12/31/2015 was $821.72.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Board? All right, moving right along. No, we don't vote on the treasurer's report anymore. Yeah. Next, we have the redistricting issue. Mr. Nathaniel Bryant, our legislative chairperson, is going to come up and brief that. Mr. Bryant, how you doing?
Just fine.
Good to see you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Happy New Year to you all.
Happy New Year.
This evening, because of our crowded agenda, I'll give you a very quick briefing as to what the status is of the redistricting process in the state of Maryland to date. Just a brief recap for those of you who have not been to our previous meetings. In January of 2015, Governor Hogan issued an executive order where he established the Maryland Redistricting Reform Commission. Our own Dr. Alvin Thornton was the chair of one of the co-chairs of the commission. The commission issued its report on November 3rd of 2015. If I may use a football analogy, since we're on the eve of the Super Bowl, I can give you where we are in this process. The teams have taken the field, the captains have gone to the center, the coin toss has been made. I just want to read for you briefly excerpts from two of the key players in this process. Governor Hogan on the state's website today stated that on Wednesday of this week, he will introduce a bill to overhaul the state's process for redrawing voting districts in the state of Maryland. He will propose a nonpartisan apportionment commission to replace the governor-led redistricting process. The process requires an amendment to the state constitution. That is very significant. In researching this process, all bills originate in the General Assembly and go through, I think it's a 3-step process. But those bills that require amendment to the Constitution, since in most cases the governor initiates those, they have to be ultimately decided by the people. The initial process in the General Assembly will require 3/5 from the General Assembly, followed by a majority vote of Maryland citizens. For our point from this process, we cannot get involved in it until we go to the ballot box. And in the meantime, we can be educating our people as to what this process is all about. The governor went on to say that the new commission will open up the process by appointing a citizens board to create the maps and allowing public to introduce their own versions. Democratic leaders have already questioned the commission's recommendation, arguing that reform should start at the national and not the state level. Now I'll give you excerpts from a news conference held by Senator Mike Miller, the president of the Maryland Senate. Obviously, Mike Miller has taken strong adversary position to this redistricting process. He stated, amongst other things, that Maryland is not unique, that all of the states east of the Mississippi have their version of irregularities and problems with the drawing of their lines. It just so happens that in the state of Maryland, we're Democratic. In other states, the same process is reflected, but the Republicans are in the majority. Senator Miller has suggested that the Congress, not the individual states, intervene and establish the lines and get a uniform process for all of the states in these United States. So I think that gives you the groundwork, if you will, as to what the situation will be once the governor's bill is introduced and it goes through its various processes. I think I should note that during previous administrations, namely Paris Glendening and Governor O'Malley, there were numerous bills introduced to reform the legislative redistricting process in the state of Maryland, and none of them reached any fruition. So I think it's going to be a very difficult process for things to change, because we are really talking about the essence, the heart of a democratic process. If you control one or two of your bodies, you control everything else. So we'll just have to wait and see how this plays out. But in the process of waiting, we should be involved by informing our people exactly what this process entails, and when it is our time to get involved, they will be educated and informed as to how they vote or should vote per their feelings when they are allowed to in the next coming election.
Any questions?
Any questions?
Okay, thank you, sir. Let us be perfectly clear that we must stay on top of this redistricting effort. It affects you. It could affect your representation. And we're going to stay on that right here at the South County Democratic Club, because we understand the importance of it. And so we will keep you abreast of what's going on. We'll be sending emails out and various pieces of information. And you must come to the meetings to hear the updates. So encourage others to come with you. Another piece of legislation is Senate Bill 268 that talks about, isn't that right? Okay. Senate Bill 268 that is being proposed by a Republican senator. Are you going to do it from there, or you want to come up? Okay. Thank you, Dr. Miller.
Good evening, everyone. I want to backtrack on something the President mentioned about us being aware of getting out. Even though we had a Republican government, we have to remember that Maryland is a blue state. Yeah. So we have to be cognizant of the fact that there's more work to be done with our Democrats in terms of getting out the vote. When you look at the percentage that came out. So let's not underestimate ourselves again. So even though it is a Republican governor making the recommendation for the redistricting and how the process, we still need to be involved as Democrats and stay on top of it and hold people accountable. And that's where I find that a lot of times we miss the boat in terms of accomplishment, because we don't stay on top of and hold the people accountable. With that being said, there's Senator Bauer, who is a Republican for the state of Maryland, Senate, has introduced or reintroduced the bill, because this bill was introduced last year, last session, and failed. I don't think it got out of committee, but you just can't take any chances, because he reintroduced the bill this year, and it's titled Qualifications of Votes, Qualification of Voters. And this bill basically states that when you go to vote, election judges will require that you present a government-issued photo ID. Currently in the state of Maryland, you're only required to verify your address and date of birth. Now, even though the bill failed last year, sometimes these can just slip right on through if you're not paying attention. So I have asked Dr. Dula and a couple other organizations to which I'm affiliated to send out letters of opposition to the chairperson of that the committee that will be hearing the bill. The bill, and that person is Senator Joan Conway. That is the Education, what is it, Lord? What's the rest of it? It's the Education Committee. I didn't even catch on guard like that. In the Senate. Anyway, this bill will be heard on February the 18th. I've been tracking certain bills for another organization, and when I saw this, I said, this involves all of us. So I'm encouraging you on February 18th, if you can't get down there to Annapolis to that hearing, send a letter, an email to Senator Joan Conway. You can get her email address online. Let's see, that was it. And the hearing's at 1 p.m. on February 18th, and that's a Thursday. Yeah, okay. One other thing I'd like to mention in terms of information, I think information is knowledge, and knowledge is power. Delegate Susie Proctor had to vacate her position on the Prince George's Community College Trustees Board. That position is now vacant for anyone who lives or who qualifies and lives in the 27th Legislative District. We have two Central Committee members here, Sydney Harrison and Belinda Queen. They can give you more information, but the closing date for filling out the application, I think you can do it online too, can't you? Is February the 16th. So if you know of anyone who lives in the 27th Legislative District, you can recommend them with their permission, or they can apply themselves. It has to be someone from 27th District. So this is another way to get involved with supporting our community college. That's my report for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Miller. As you can see, Senate Bill 268 is very important. We encourage you to do as Dr. Miller has asked. And if you need any further information, don't hesitate to pick up the phone and call me or email me or whatever it takes so that we can discuss it further. I know that GOP in charge of legislatures in places like Arizona, Wisconsin, North Carolina, and Pennsylvania have already put it into action. And the one I think in Arizona was reviewed by the Supreme Court, and some of it was struck down. So we have to make sure that we're on top of ours, and that we don't let it, as Dr. Miller said, slip through the cracks without our awareness. That's how a lot of things get by us. We're not informed, we're not educated, we're not up to, as they say in North Carolina, we're not up to snuff. So we've got to get up to snuff, and we've got to be fired up about it, because I've already sent a letter to Annapolis saying that we oppose the bill, but you can also do the same. That's the great thing about our Constitution. We have a right to petition our elected officials and our government. Let's take advantage of it. Let them know it's not just us speaking, but also, I see Congressman is here. We have you a place on the front row, sir. But we want to make sure we are aware of that, and we're going to keep you updated. Okay? All right. Next on our agenda, and that sort of concludes our formal portion, we have another distinguished guest with us, and that is our clerk of court and a member of our Democratic Central Committee, Mr. Sidney Harrison. Come on down. I went to visit him, and I can tell you, Sidney, you look at it, he's a very colorful guy.
Yes.
But I went to visit his operation last week at Clerk of Court. I came away amazed. The things he has done up there at that court is amazing. The people love it. They love the changes he's made. The morale is great. And the processes he's put into place are just absolutely earth-shattering. He's done a good job. So let's hear it again for Mr. Harrison, and I will turn the mic over to you, sir.
Good evening. How's everyone doing? Good. He said I was colorful, but I'm turning gray now. You can see, right? Okay, nobody gave me the memo on that, all right? So let me first off by saying I want to thank everyone that's in the room here today for everything that you guys do in the community. I mean, we all have something to offer, and nobody shall discount your contribution. That's what makes us special. That's what makes us special in Prince George's County. We are very rich in diversity,